Do is say thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Hallelujah.
Thank you,
Yes,
Lord.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
Lord.
yes. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah.
If you can turn with me, I'm not going to be before you long. If you can turn with me, I want to go to Mark chapter 5, and I want to start at the 39th verse. When you got it, can you say amen?
Amen.
Mark chapter 5, verse 39, we're going to start at. And verse 39 says, And when he was coming, he saith unto them, Why make ye this ado and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But when he had put them all out, he taken the father and the mother of the damsel, and them that were with him, and entered into where the damsel was lying. And he took the damsel by the hand, and said unto her, Talitha cumi, which is being interpreted, Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. Just for a few minutes, you can take your seats. Just for a few minutes, I want to talk from the topic, it's time to get up. It's time to get up. It's time to get up. I was actually prepared. If I can tell you, I was prepared to talk about David, because I had been dealing with David in 1 Samuel for a long time. But on my way here, the Lord showed me something else, and I said, "No, Lord, I don't want to go there." But He showed me a vision of a few people that had been down for so long, and they needed a reminder that it was time to get up. So if I can share with you a story, I want to know how many of you know what premature death is. Do you know what premature death is? Premature death, for those of us that don't know, doesn't necessarily have to do with a baby, but that's usually what we hear premature death with. You know, the loss of a newborn baby. But premature death doesn't necessarily have to be a child, but premature death can be, how many of us have experienced the loss of what we consider a baby, you know, a business or something that we consider cherished, you know, close to us, you know, a new venture that we wanted to go out on to. But here it is in the beginning of the developmental steps of a specific journey. Before it can grow into something great, it dies. That's premature death. You know, before it can get to a specific place, it dies. I mean, you already had the future planned for this specific thing, and before it reaches its full potential, it dies, you know. So here it is, people of God, in the text, we find a connection in premature death and with the text, because we have a young girl here at 12 years old. And the young girl, before reaching specific milestones that many of us have reached, you know, prom and graduation and puberty and having a boyfriend and all this other stuff and having girlfriends and boyfriends and all this stuff, before this young girl is able to reach these milestones, whether it was a couple of years ago, a couple of days ago, a few of us have already reached those milestones. But when we reach this 12-year-old girl who has not yet met those milestones, she is pronounced dead. How unfortunate is the matter for a 12-year-old to be dead? But let's talk about how we get to a dead 12-year-old in the text. Jesus and his disciples, if I can give you a little back history, were traveling, and they had just freed a man of unclean spirits. And on his way out, many gathered around him, and one of the rulers of the synagogue, as he was traveling in distress, ran and bombarded the crowd and went to Jesus. And number one, if I could stop there, I want to point out that you got to know where to take your problems. Here we have a ruler of the synagogue in distress, so that he has a problem, and where is he now? Running to Jesus. So I want to number one point, and I hope you jot it down, that we need to know where to take our problems. Too many of us are taking our problems to the wrong people, and we're wondering why they can't help us, or we still stuck in the same situation. So it's important that we know where to take our problems. But back to the text, Jairus, upon approaching Jesus, he falls to his knees and he says, "My daughter is near death." he says, come now and lay your hand on her, and she shall be healed and live. So after reading that portion of the text, I was stumped because I found that piece of the text to be twofold. How did I find that piece of the text to be twofold? Number one, Jairus proves that he knows the master and what he is capable of, because he knows exactly what God needs to do to heal his daughter. He said, come lay your hand on her and she will live. I'll hold this in my hand. So that shows that he knows what